Don't waste your GLP-1. Hey, I'm Nico, nutrition coach on tirzepatide, and in this video, I'm going to go over how I get the most out of my dose before I increase it. For most of us, one of the main benefits of taking a GLP-1 is that it helps us manage our hunger. And when we don't feel hungry, we eat less and we lose weight. This feeling of control is honestly life-changing for a lot of us. But I'm sure something that most of you have experienced is that hunger does come back and we lose that feeling of control. Some hunger coming back is completely normal because over time we get used to our current dose or it wears off during the week before our next shot. Now, what a lot of other people do is immediately consider increasing their dose without actually doing other hunger management strategies that don't involve a GLP-1. I personally only like to increase my dose when I absolutely have to, and I'll tell you why. I use the meds to reduce cravings, get full faster, and stay full longer, and not to completely get rid of hunger. If my current dose is right for me, the feeling of hunger goes away as soon as I take a few bites because I start to get full after a few minutes. Hunger is not a bad thing. It's a signal for us to eat, and it can help prevent rapid weight loss and all the stuff that comes with it, like increased chance of hair loss, muscle loss, more loose skin than expected, etc. Now, I have 3 reasons why I don't immediately increase my dose, and it's because of more potential side effects, money, and to avoid being close to the max limit of the GLP-1. First is more side effects. I'm pretty sensitive to tirzepatide, and a higher dose might give me more side effects. And while being hungry won't be an issue anymore, I might have to deal with things like more nausea or potentially vomiting. It's a trade I'm personally not willing to make. Second is money. I pay out of pocket for my GLP-1, so the more tirzepatide I have to take, the more I have to pay. And last is I can max out the meds. At the current time I'm recording this, the safest max limit for tirzepatide is 15 milligrams per week. Thankfully, I'm nowhere near that since I only take 0.75 milligrams per week. But the more I increase my dose, the more I think about how much closer I am to hitting my limits because I haven't hit my goal weight yet. I know most people are in a similar situation, but their dose is much higher than mine, so maxing out can be even more of a concern. And keeping my dose low does give me some headroom in case I need to increase it, because if I max out, I have to think of other more difficult ways to manage my hunger. GLP-1s have been a game changer for me because of how it helps me manage my hunger and my cravings. I'll probably be on it for life, and I want to get the most out of every dose I can. Now, there's nothing wrong with increasing your dose to manage hunger. I do it too when I need to, but doing it too soon when there are other ways to manage it that don't rely on the meds can save you a lot of potential headaches. So let's go over how I manage hunger before increasing my dose, and at the end of the video, I'll tell you when I personally consider increasing it. I split up hunger management into 2 ways, what I do while eating and what I do throughout the day. Starting with what I do when I'm eating, I eat food in a certain order. First is pre-meal hydration, then vegetables, then protein, and then carbs and fats. The point of doing this is to fill up my stomach with as much volume as I can to really get full. Pre-meal hydration is when I drink a lot of water or calorie-free drinks right before I eat. Bonus if they're carbonated drinks. Next is vegetables. Veggies are high-volume foods and have a lot of fiber, which also helps with hunger. Usually if I eat a bunch of veggies, my hunger starts to go away. If I'm really hungry and I need, I'll have extra servings of it. Third is protein. By now, I usually start to get full, but I don't want to get too full that I can't eat other nutrients. So next, I prioritize protein because it helps prevent muscle loss and I want to keep my muscle. I then finish the rest of the food on my plate, which is usually the carbs and fats. These are last because it's usually what I reduce from my meals when I'm losing weight anyways. And here's a picture of steak, rice, veggies, and some guac. Before I start eating, I have a bunch of water, and then I have some veggies, and then some protein, and then rice and guac. And here's a bonus tip, have a gulp of your drink between bites. It's extra volume to help fill up your stomach. The next thing I do is eat slowly and chew my food. I'm usually a really fast eater, and I'll swallow food after a bite or two. This isn't the best thing to do because both my stomach and brain don't register that I'm actually eating something. If I take my time and chew my food, my stomach can catch up and I'll feel full much faster. Next, I have more solid foods and less liquid calories. Liquid calories can digest faster than solid foods, meaning I'll be hungrier sooner. So I usually have 2 protein shakes and 2 meals with solid protein foods per day. If I'm really hungry, I might reduce my protein shakes to 1 per day and increase how much solid protein foods I eat. Next is more high volume foods and less calorie rich food. High volume foods to me means food with a lot of liquid, fiber, and lower calories such as vegetables. Calorie rich foods would be like donuts or ice cream. I don't restrict foods and I have a big sweet tooth. And on my low appetite days, I have more calorie-rich foods because I need the calories, but on my hungry days, I'll cut these out. And calorie-rich foods tend to digest faster compared to high-volume foods, so hunger does come back faster. Moving on to bland foods would be less salty and savory or less sweet flavors on food. This is mostly seasoning and sauces. Food that's less appetizing sometimes helps me get full faster. For example, I used to eat plain boiled potatoes with no salt or butter. I could barely get through half of it because it's so plain and gross. But at least I am not as hungry. Another example is in this picture. I usually have soy sauce and hot sauce on my chicken and rice, but when I get hungry, I'll try to have it more plain. It's really boring and not as tasty, but I get full faster. Now, the last thing I'll do is that I won't eat carbs by itself, and I'll try to eat it with a protein, fat, or vegetable. Carbs by itself can digest fast, which means I'll be hungry again sooner. So if I pair it with a protein, fat, or vegetable, it will take longer to digest. I usually like to have crackers as a snack, which is a carb, but on days that I'm hungry, I'll have it with, let's say, a protein yogurt drink. All right, moving on to how I manage hunger throughout the day. I have more water or calorie-free carbonated drinks. I like to fill up my stomach with water or carbonated drinks like diet soda to help keep my hunger down. Pretty much what I mentioned earlier, but the difference is I do it in between meals and not right before. For example, let's say I have 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In between every meal, I'll drink a ton of water or whatever I have. I don't have 3 meals a day anymore. I usually have around like 5-ish, but this is just an example. And drinking a lot of liquids might have me use the bathroom more often, but that's okay because I'd rather do that than be hungry. The next thing is I only eat when I'm really hungry. This is the thing that has helped me the most. If you can do it, I highly recommend it. There are times during the day where I'm more hungry, so I'll only eat during those times. For example, let's say I get hungry around lunch and before bed. I try really hard to push my meals and snacks to these times as much as possible. I know this can be hard for some of you with set eating schedules like breakfast with the family or work lunch, but if you have the option to only eat when you're hungry, try it out. It might be the thing that helps you manage your hunger without increasing your dose. Also, side note, the times you feel hungry can change over the course of weeks to months, so be aware of that. For the longest time, I would get hungry when I woke up and a few hours before bed, but it changes every few months. It's annoying, but if you're aware of this, you can prepare for it. Now I want to cover when I consider increasing my dose. Assuming I did everything I could to manage hunger and actually tried, only then I consider increasing it. I only do it when I notice I'm still really hungry after an average meal. I get hungry way sooner than usual. Like if I eat a meal and I'm satisfied, but 30 minutes later, I'm really hungry again, when it usually takes a few hours, then I know something needs to change. And last, I know I can handle side effects. This is a tough one to figure out because it's more of a I won't know until I try it type situation. But for the most part, I've been able to deal with side effects really well. I mostly get a small headache on the day I take my shot and some nausea a day or two after if I eat too much. I only felt like vomiting once, but that's because I think I overate, so it's my fault. Again, in general, the point of me increasing my dose is to control and manage my hunger, not to completely get rid of it. Also, this isn't medical advice, this is what I do. Talk to your doctor before making changes. And that's it for the video. I hope this helps you deal with hunger. Thanks for watching. Bye.